안녕하세요 여러분. 안녕하십니까 교수님. 저는 오늘 여러분께 아제르바이잔 대해서 소개해 드리고자 합니다. So as I said, today I'm going to be talking about my country where I grew up. I was born, the land of fire, Azerbaijan. So I'm gonna go through the history of Azerbaijan, what to do in Azerbaijan during the different seasons. So I'll try to, in a good way, attract your attention and teleport you to my country. So liberated areas, contest, cuisine, sport, and fuzzy logic. So why is Azerbaijan called the land of fire? The land got its name mostly due to the eternal flames spread across Azerbaijan's mountains throughout history. The capital city, Baku, City of Winds. Why is Baku called the City of Winds? The City of Winds is an unofficial literary name for Baku, mainly because it's windy throughout most of the year. The name derives from the ancient Persian name of this locality, Batkube. So let's watch the video.
If you are in Azerbaijan, find the flame of the future in yourself. Just to feel the rhythm.
Baku is a city of the most amazing contrasts. Ancient and modern, crazy and chill. I need 3 lives to take it all in. To take another look.
Guess I gotta get up on another one. I can make a grown man wanna run. I'm my way. Whoa, whoa, what you say? Oh, whoa.
But it's the people who make it all come alive.
I look at these walls and I can see when they were brand new and the people who built them and what their lives were like, and it feels just like yesterday.
I can't keep up with Azerbaijan. It has so many challenges for me. Cliffs, desert, mud volcanoes, mountains, Caspian Sea. It just goes on and on.
Azerbaijan is a country that excites all senses. So many textures, tastes, sounds, scents. There's so much to explore. To take another look.
Azerbaijan, take another look.
Okay. So the history of Azerbaijan, I want to point out this fact as well. So I would say that to a certain extent the history of Azerbaijan looks like Korean history, since you can see in the picture it was split into parts, the North Azerbaijan and South Azerbaijan. So let's watch video as well.
Nadir Shah Afshar was assassinated during the rebellion in 1747. After Nadir Shah's death, the Afsharid Empire founded by him dissolved. Azerbaijan lands were divided into small states, khanates. Frequent conflicts and wars used to happen among these khanates. The policy of Sheki, Urmia, Karabakh, and Guba khanates to unite Azerbaijan land failed. The Treaty of Turkmenchai. It was clear that in the early 19th century, Azerbaijan was not a single state. It created conditions for the Russian occupation. Small Azerbaijan khanates faced with the powerful army of the great empire were seized one by one. The Qajar Empire, that was founded in Iran and in the south of Azerbaijan, declared war on the Russian Empire to prevent further occupation. But Russia defeated Qajar Empire due to its superiority in weapons and military forces. On October 12, 1813, a peace treaty was concluded between the Russian Empire and Qajar Iran in the village of Gulistan, Karabakh. It was the beginning of the partition of Azerbaijan. Ganja, Karabakh, Sheki, Shamahe, Baku, Guba, Daraban, and Lankaran khanates were occupied by the Russian Empire. Nakhchivan and Yerevan khanates were included in Qajar Iran. Our nation and land were parted. After the Treaty of Gulistan, the Russian Empire desired to occupy all Azerbaijan lands, including Nakhchivan and Yerevan, as well as southern Azerbaijan. It caused the beginning of a new war between Russia and Qajar Iran in 1826. The first phase of the war was successful for Qajar Iran. Ganja and some other territories were liberated, but military supply and superiority of forces allowed Russia to change the course of the war. Russian troops occupied Nakhchivan and Yerevan in 1827. The army of Qajar Iran retreated. Taking it as an advantage, Russian troops crossed the river Araz and occupied Tabriz, Urmia, and Ardabil. Therefore, on February 10, 1828, a peace treaty was signed between the Russian Empire and Qajar Iran in the village of Turkmenchai in southern Azerbaijan. According to the treaty, Nakhchivan and Yerevan khanates came under the control of the Russian Empire. So the territory of Azerbaijan was divided into two parts, the northern Azerbaijan and the southern Azerbaijan. Partition of our country and nation became official. Our motherland lost its independence. The Treaty of Turkmenchai consisted of 16 articles, and according to Article 15, the Russian government resettled Armenians from Iran to Nakhchivan Karabakh and Yerevan khanates to fortify its position. Because of the transfer of the territories to the resettled Armenians, Azerbaijani Turks were deprived of some part of their lands. On March 21, 1828, the fiction...
Thank you for watching. So a man who had left mark in Azerbaijan history, Hajı Zeynalov bin Tagiev. So the picture, I added the picture where wherein President of Azerbaijan Ilham Aliyev, he unveiled the monument of Hajj Zeynalov Tagiev. So, and let me read his speech. Hajj Zeynalov Tagiev, he was a wealthy man, but everyone knows that he grew up in a very poor family and earned his wealth through hard work. However, he went down in history not as a wealthy person, but as a philanthropist. If it were not for his charitable activities, he would probably not be remembered by the Azerbaijani people. It was on his initiative that many important projects were implemented in Azerbaijan. Zeynalov Tagiev used his own money to build the pipeline. It was also on his initiative and financial support that a sewer was built in Baku, and many industrial enterprises, and the first secular school for Azerbaijani girls. I can say that the first secular school for girls in the Muslim world was established in Baku at the expense of Tagiev's funds and on his initiative. Tagiev was the author of many beautiful buildings that added beauty to Baku and contributed to its architectural style. The opening of school for girls was a step into the future. Everyone knows that by sending hundreds of students to Russia and Europe, he paid for their education, which was a step towards the future. He clearly thought about the future. Zeynalov Tagiev had the Holy Quran translated into Azerbaijani and proved to be an innovator in this field. For the first time, the Holy Quran was translated into Azerbaijani. Over 100,000 people died from the rapidly spreading deadly disease. It was possible to defeat this disease only by vaccinating those who had not yet fallen in. And when Hajj Zeynalabdin Tagiev bought and sent over 300,000 ampoules of vaccine to Pakistan, which played a major role in the victory over this deadly disease. In 1947, after Pakistan gained independence, this fact was included in the training manual of Pakistan. Here I want to point out the victory. The video lost 10 minutes, but I will fast forward, no worries. So why I want to point it out, because whenever I have chance to talk about, I try to point it out. And you remember last time in my research topic, when I presented my research topic, I pointed out the occupation, liberated areas. So because back in 2020, when the war started, even though it made it to the news, but so far I would say that not many people are aware about that war between Armenia and Azerbaijan. So let me show the video.
The Karabakh conflict that had begun at the end of 1991 turned into a war with the collapse of the USSR. Armenians had been planning for war for years, and therefore they gained the offensive advantage. Material and moral support of the Armenian lobby from foreign countries, and direct presence of numerous terrorist organizations in the war created vast opportunities for the enemy. Armenian nationalists using heavy military equipment and power from the former Soviet troops located in Karabakh and Armenia committed Khojali genocide, Karagale and Agdaban tragedies. Political disputes occurring in Azerbaijan and lack of unified command in the Azerbaijan army created conditions for the occupation of Nagorno-Karabakh and 7 surrounding regions by the Armenian military units. Hundreds of thousands of people were expelled from their homes. At last, in 1994, the armistice agreement was signed in Bishkek. Negotiations on the solution of the problem in a peaceful manner began. But negotiations that lasted for 26 years through the OSCE Minsk Group hadn't reached any conclusions. Patriotic War, Operation Iron Fist. The change of power in Armenia in the spring of 2018 created some hope for the solution of the conflict in a peaceful manner. But the new leaders of the aggressive nation began to take steps undermining the negotiation process. The inauguration ceremony of the leader of the so-called Nagorno-Karabakh Republic in Shusha, statements on the construction of the parliament house there, dancing of the Armenian leaders on the Jadur Dzu plain exhausted the patience of our nation. Moreover, new Armenian authorities began to settle Armenians from foreign countries on the occupied 7 regions that was contrary to international law. The enemy was clearly stating that not only Nagorno-Karabakh, but these 7 regions belonged to the Armenians. The Minister of Defense of Armenia, in his speech to the Armenian lobby in the USA, stated about the change of the strategy in relations with Azerbaijan, the way from negotiations to the war. New regions. It meant that the new authority of Armenia was actively preparing for war against Azerbaijan. Diversion committed in July 2020 in Taus, situated away from Nagorno-Karabakh, was part of the stated new strategy. The enemy tried to capture strategic heights around Taus. These heights allowed control of the important international oil and gas pipeline crossing the territory of the Taus region. In August, the diversion intelligence group of the enemy was liquidated in Terter. Armenian officers leading the group were captured. All these proved preparations of Armenia for war against Azerbaijan. The assassination of General Polad Hashimov had been received in Azerbaijan with popular protests. Despite the pandemic, thousands of people held protests in Baku and other cities and regions. People fed up with the arrogance of Armenians took to the streets with the demand to punish the enemy. On September 27, 2020, early in the morning, Armenian military forces started shelling populated areas of Terter, Agdam, Fuzuli, and Jabrail regions with heavy weapons and mortars. Among the killed and wounded, civilians. Civilian objects were heavily damaged. It was the last straw. By order of the Supreme Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Republic of Azerbaijan, Ilham Aliyev, on September 27th, our army struck the enemy with a counterattack. In the first days of the war, Karahanbeyli, Garvan, Poradis, Yuhar Abdurrahmanli, Ashagi Abdurrahmanli villages of Fuzuli region, Boyuk, Marjanli, and Nuzgar villages of Jabrail region were liberated from enemy occupation. In the northern direction, strategic heights around Talish village of Agdala region, Sigoshan settlement, as well as Morovda Peak in Kalbajar were also liberated. With the purpose to force the enemy to peace, the Azerbaijani army began successful implementation of the Operation Iron Fist. Since the first days of the war, UAVs disabled air defense systems of the Armenian army. Azerbaijani armed forces fought 21st century war, teaching the enemy class of warfare. As a result, Azerbaijan maintained air superiority. Keeping the enemy under suppressive fire in the southwest direction, on October 4th, our army liberated Jabrail and several villages. After clearing out several villages in the Khojavan direction, our army deliberately didn't prevent movement of the enemy in the depth of our military positions, but instead, our military units heading from Jabrail to the north surrounded the enemy's military group, estimated at 12,000 people. The Armenian army troops had been dealt a heavy blow. Losing a large number of manpower, the enemy left military vehicles on the battlefield. Only in this operation, 27 enemy tanks were taken as a trophy. Dozens were destroyed. At last, on October 17th, the victorious Azerbaijani army liberated Fuzuli city, surrounding enemy units from Jabrail, Adrut, and Khojavan directions. The way to Zangilan and Gubadle was already open. With the successful Fuzuli operation, our army defeated the enemy both morally and psychologically. Neither defense echelons of several lines called impenetrable by the Armenian military authorities, nor ground and underground fortifications and bunkers built for 30 years could help them. Devastating blows of the Azerbaijani army completely broke resistance and power of the enemy soldiers. Soon after the Fuzuli operation, another military unit of the enemy was destroyed by our victorious army in Zangilan-Gubadli direction. Zangilan was liberated on October 20th. Gubadli region was liberated 5 days later. With these steps, the Azerbaijani army was carrying out UN resolutions that hadn't been executed for 30 years. Shusha operation was the masterpiece of the Azerbaijani army in the Patriotic War. The enemy defended the city, being the heart of Karabakh, with 2,000 soldiers and a large number of military vehicles. They were sure that the fortress built by Panahali Khan was impregnable, but special forces of the Azerbaijani army, led by General Hikmat Mirzayev, entered the city not from the main road, but by climbing precipitous cliffs, the direction the enemy couldn't even think of. Our brave soldiers, equipped with light weapons, snuck behind the enemy line on 4 sides and defeated the Armenian armed forces in hand-to-hand combat. Military experts and world media that related victories of our army to the superior military vehicles and UAVs couldn't hide their amazement at the fighting spirit and skills of our army personnel. It was a great moral victory of Azerbaijan over the enemy. The liberation of Shusha on November 8th sealed the fate of the war. On the night of November 9th to the 10th, a tripartite agreement between Russia, Azerbaijan, and Armenia was signed. Military operations were ceased. This agreement made the victory of Azerbaijan and defeat of Armenia official. According to the agreement, the occupying country was obliged to withdraw its army from the territory of Azerbaijan, to leave Agdam, Kalbajar, and Lachin, and to open the corridor from Mehri to Nakhchivan. The Russian peacekeepers were deployed to the conflict zone. Thus, the patriotic war that had begun on September 27th ended with the victory of...
All right, thank you for watching. So the big time project, Southern Gas Corridor. The Southern Gas Corridor project aims to increase and diversify European energy supply by bringing Azerbaijani gas produced within the second phase of the Shah Deniz gas condensate field development project to Turkey and the European Union. The pipeline also has a potential to deliver natural gas from other fields in Azerbaijan and third-party gas to the world market in the future. The first commercial gas within the Shah Deniz 2 project was delivered to Turkey via TANAP on the 3rd of June 2018. The inauguration of the European connection of TANAP was held on the 30th of November 2019. With the commissioning of the TAP pipeline on the 31st of December 2020, the first phase of the SGC was complemented for the first time in history. So Azerbaijani gas started to be delivered to Europe. The $33 billion project connecting the Caspian region with Southeast Europe makes a valuable contribution to the economic development of both Azerbaijan and transit countries. So the broken lines here in the map shows that the future possible interconnections. So Baku Formula 1, Baku Grand Prix. It's held annually. It's been held annually since 2015, I guess. And here I added a few pictures of celebrities who have visited so far my capital city, Baku. Probably many of you guys know them. Dua Lipa, here she, as you can see, she got got gifted the beautiful traditional hat, Azerbaijani hat. So there are celebrities like Mariah Carey, Enrique Iglesias, and Christina Aguilera. So during her visit, so let's watch the video.
Welcome to Azerbaijan, a Grand Prix circuit of surprises.
Lights out, away we go. Leclerc locks up, Perez takes the lead.
Max Verstappen past Sergio Perez.
He's got the inside line, Hamilton goes through. Max Verstappen takes victory in Baku.
Was that a good race? Oh, was that a good race?
So the Eurovision Song Contest is a competition which is held by European Broadcasting Union. So annually, so the Azerbaijan in 2011 the singers Eldar and Nigar as I said in 2011 they won the Eurovision Song Contest with their entry Running Scared. It was the which meant that Azerbaijan earned the right to host the Eurovision Song Contest in 2012.
Well, there we have it.
Of the Eurovision Song Contest 2011 is Azerbaijan.
Azerbaijan, the winners of Eurovision 2011. Congratulations to Elle and Nikki.
Follow me, come on.
Judith's trying to get them to the stage. Good evening to the United Kingdom and welcome along to Eurovision 2012. Coming to you live this year from Baku, the capital city of our host nation, Azerbaijan. And I tell you, they are putting on quite a show tonight. It's a petrol-rich country, and they've spent every penny they have on the next 3 hours. It's the most easterly location of the Eurovision Song Contest ever. There's a 4-hour time difference. So as I speak to you, it is midnight here in Baku. A spectacular start, and now they move inside the Crystal Hall. That is Alim Quasimov. The New York Times describes him as simply one of the greatest singers alive. He's performing Mugam. This country could not be happier to be hosting the Eurovision Song Contest. It's taken over the whole place. And here's the reason we're here. Elle and Nikki performing last year's winning song, Running Scared.
Come to me tonight, I gotta need you anyway.
Baby, I just wanna be around you all the time. Gotta need
So another big, let's say, competition, the first European Games, Baku had a chance to be a host city in 2015.
From the shores of the Caspian Sea, in the ancient land of Azerbaijan, rises the first European Games. Staged in a land steeped in magic, mystery and modernity, experience the remarkable. Be part of sporting history in Baku this June. The European Games, Baku 2015, rise to the occasion.
So another big competition, Baku had the first in 2019. The final match of European League was held in Baku. And following year in 2020, Euro 2020, Baku was one of the host cities. So. Let's quickly watch. So let's talk about this martial arts. So Rafael Agaev, he's a 5-time world champion and 11-time European champion in his discipline. He's an Azerbaijani karateka. So as I mentioned a while ago that we will dive into each season. So here I added a few pictures, desserts and like pastries, and here the glass which you see, it's called pear-shaped glass, which in my language is armudus dekan, which translates pear-shaped glass. So later you will understand why I'm pointing it out. So so the narrowed, the middle side, narrowed side part, it allows the hot water, I mean the drink, hold as the hot water as hot as possible, and at the top the expansion part prevents burns. So we usually we annually celebrate spring, which we call Nowruz Festival. It's celebrated in Azerbaijan and across Central Asia, March 20th, and Azerbaijan celebrate by jumping over bonfires to purify their souls. Locals also visit relatives' graves, take part in folk dances and competitive sports, and grow wheat seeds. Young people, meanwhile, especially girls, make wishes at their neighbors' doors. Alright, summer. Due to the mild climate, the beach season in Azerbaijan lasts from June to the end of September. The capital of Baku, Azerbaijan, is surrounded by numerous resort and beach areas. Let's watch the video. Autumn, but here I included like all seasons, and now we're gonna set off for 3 regions: Kagh, Sheki, and Shamakhı. So first, I want to point out some factors. Palace of Sheki Khans, was built in 1797 by Muhammad Hassan Khan, a wooden lattice work that was assembled without nails or glue. So this is Sheki Piti is cooked in an earthenware pot called dopu, which shouldn't be a new one. So firstly, chickpeas are placed in the ceramic pots, then small pieces of mutton are added. The top layer is salted tail fat. After all of this, water is poured to the pot and piti is cooked in 8-9 hours.
We make it warm. We make it fresh. We make it good for you. We make it fast. We make it fun. Just feel the joy and fall in love with the best of Azerbaijan. Good for body and soul. It soothes your spirit. Embrace the most beautiful scenery. Dive in and relax. Life here is good. Azerbaijan. Take another look.
So winter season. So here we gonna set off for Gusar. Let's. What? Sorry. So, remembering Lütfizadeh, the inventor of fuzzy logic, have anyone heard about fuzzy logic? No?
Yes, me.
Yeah, I know you heard. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so let me read the article. One night in July 1964, the logician Lütfizadeh found himself alone in his parents' New York apartment. His dinner plans cancelled, At the time, Zadeh later wrote, he was doing a lot of thinking about basic issues in systems analysis, especially the issue of unsharpness of class boundaries, that is, the failure of things in the physical world to conform to classical Boolean logic, the true or false, black or white, 0 or 1 mathematics that underpins much of computer science. It was at that point that the simple concept of a fuzzy set occurred to me, Zadeh recalled. Zadeh was born in Baku, Azerbaijan. According to family history, his mother was Russian Jew and his father was of Turkish origin with roots in Azerbaijan and Iran. The family left the Soviet Union when Zadeh was 10, moving to Tehran, where he studied at the American College, a missionary school. Most of his teachers were Presbyterians from the Midwest at a distance. I fell in love with the United States and American values, Zadeh wrote. After graduating from the University of Tehran in 1942 with a degree in electrical engineering, he went on to the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, then to Columbia, then to Institute for Advanced Study in Princeton, New Jersey, and finally in 1959 to the University of California, Berkeley, where he remained for the rest of his career. By that point, he and his wife, Faye, whom he'd met in Tehran, had 2 children, Norman and Stella. So when I spoke with Norman, he said that his father was a fine dancer, a skilled tennis player, and an avid photographer. He snapped portraits of many of the good and the great who came through Berkeley and President Richard Nixon, but otherwise he was all work. He buried at First Alley of Honor in Baku. So let's quickly watch the video.
In artificial intelligence, the ultimate quest is for machines that think like humans. One man recognized that the only way to truly think outside the box is to do away with the boxes themselves. By abandoning the rigid idea of true or false, Lotfi Zadeh redefined how we think about logic. He faced staunch opposition along the way, but ultimately became the father of fuzzy logic. Countless intelligent products can process the same kind of imperfect information we use to navigate an ambiguous world. They do it by using fuzzy logic, a deceptively simple yet powerful idea that was the brainchild of one radical thinker.
My aspirations were not to become rich and powerful, but to be driven by a quest for contributing to society, to improvement of society.
When Zadeh was offered a chance to be a graduate student at MIT, he took it. When he got to the States, he looked up an old family friend.
He came to visit me in New York because he was very lonely when he came from Iran. And as I opened the door, he took off his hat. And I said, "Ah!" because he had no hair at all.
3 years later, Zadeh had a new wife and a master's degree from MIT. He went on to Columbia for his PhD, where he would remain for 17 years. He then moved to Berkeley and was named chair of the Electrical Engineering Department in 1963. While attending a mathematicians' conference, a simple idea occurred to Zadeh about the nature of sets, groups of objects or numbers considered entities unto themselves.
If you look at the real world, you find that most classes, the class of beautiful women, the class of large countries, the class of small apples are too precise. You have to generalize that and introduce a class whose boundaries are unsharp.
With the publication of his first paper on the topic in 1965, fuzzy logic was born. Zadeh reasoned that people don't require precise numerical input to make decisions, so why should computers? What if systems could be programmed to accept noisy, imprecise input? Initially, the theory was met with skepticism and even hostility. Its biggest problem was perhaps its name.
I knew that fuzzy is not a good word. I knew it very well. But I did it, and I never regretted my choice to this date.
Even decades later, in certain arenas, fuzzy remains a bad word.
The image is that of some sort of a logic that is not precise, that is muddy. But in fact, fuzzy logic is precise. It's a precise logic of imprecision.
By the early 70s, the theory began to gain acceptance, and fuzzy logic products started to pop up everywhere, particularly in Japan. It was integrated into everything from civil engineering machines to household appliances. Today, most consumer products use some form of fuzzy logic.
This camera, this probably uses fuzzy logic, you see.
Fuzzy logic not only makes better machines, it touches on how we understand language and culture.
In fuzzy logic, everything is or is allowed to be a matter of degree. So this is a big thing.
Zadeh has made a career out of bucking convention and faced opposition every step of the way. But today, he can look back with pride and perhaps a bit of vindication.
Of course, I'm not immune to making wrong decisions, wrong predictions. But for the most part, I can sort of pat myself in the back and I say, yes, that I was right.
The 2009 Benjamin Franklin Medal in Electrical Engineering is presented to Lotfi Zadeh for his invention and development of the field of fuzzy logic, a mathematical system that captures aspects of the ambiguity of human language and thought, which has solved problems in areas such as artificial intelligence and the automated control of machines.
So probably the camera that are recording me right now has fuzzy logic as well. So I want to mention that the companies which uses fuzzy logic as Mitsubishi, Toshiba, Sony, Canon, Nissan, Honda, and other reputable companies. So, 감사합니다. The last thing that I want to mention, sorry. This is the pear-shaped tea. I brought it, so I want to present to Professor Shin this tea. Yeah. Thank you.